channel. I'm Lindsay from Our Little Greenhouse, and today I'm going to talk to you about something that I used to think was not even in the realm of possibility. How I went from a non-runner who hated running, who had never run more than 3 miles in my life, to becoming a marathoner all within a year. And I'm going to share with you the top 19 tips that can help you go from being a non-runner to a marathoner. It's absolutely possible, and these are the tips that are going to help you cross that finish line. I've saved a very important one for the end, so be sure to stick around and hear that one. Number 1, change your mindset. This is foundational. Everything starts in your mind. When I would hear about a marathoner, I thought, wow, that is an amazing elite group of people that I do not belong in. Maybe you think that way too, but you are wrong. Marathoners are just everyday people like you, like me, who have decided to do something and won't quit. You have to change your mindset and believe that you can. Once your mindset is in place, you can do it. Last year, I went from thinking, I can't do a 10K to actually doing it, actually doing a half marathon, and actually running across that finish line for a sub 5 marathon in a thunderstorm, up hills, and pregnant. So if I can do it, you can do it too. You have to think, I can do this, I will do this, and then go out there and do it. You have to be stronger mentally, and that is what is going to carry you across that finish line. Only your mind is in the way. Number 2, you need to find a good plan and or coach. My husband has used this book before and highly recommended it to me. He'd never run a marathon, but he did find success following this man's methods, and he was willing to help coach me and help me figure out the plans, learn the terminology. This is an excellent book if you are looking for a plan. Run less, run faster, and it'll actually help you find where you are. So here's a novice marathon training program, and you can adapt it to your skill level, your pace level. Find a good plan. I learned early on too, just trust your plan. When I was first starting out, I looked ahead and saw that 20-mile run coming up, and I couldn't do it, but that's okay. I wasn't supposed to do it yet. I was only running 3 miles, 5 miles, 6 miles as my long runs. You're gonna build up to it, and if you trust your plan, if you follow your plan, when that week comes, you will be running that 20-mile long run. Take the burden off of yourself, follow your plan, and that's all you have to worry about. Every day that you're scheduled to run, just do the run on the plan, cross it off, and you're done. Tip number 3. This isn't essential, but it is helpful. Get a victory or 2 under your belt. Sign up for an early 5K, a 10K, even a half marathon. Try to figure out at what point you'll be there in your marathon training, and then try to find a race that corresponds to that. And when you get that medal, it only gives you that validation, that motivation, that confidence. Hey, I just did it. I crossed this finish line. I can do the next one. I have done a 5K, half marathon. It gives you race experience, how much time it takes you to park for a race, de-layer if it's cold outside, and go to the bathroom beforehand, find your spot. It gives you all that practice. But then it's also very rewarding and encouraging when you get this medal and you realize, I just did a half marathon. There was no way I thought I was gonna do that. And as you accomplish those goals, you know even more, I can do the marathon. Number 4, tell somebody. Sometimes we get ideas in our heads about things we want to do. We kind of plan on doing them, but if we don't say it, it gives us an out to not do it if things aren't going well. If we kind of change our mind, tell somebody. Tell someone who's going to hold you accountable, who's going to ask, hey, how's your training going? And you're going to have to tell them, you know, I can't back out of this. People know I'm training for this. This is what you've committed to do. Do everything it takes to get you to that marathon. Also, find another runner. There are lots of running groups on Facebook that are very, very helpful. They can help explain terminology to you, help you figure out what to wear on certain weather days, what to do for injuries, or what are some good options for hydration. Even just seeing their runs make you want to go out and do your run and say, hey, I did my long run today, and get some likes on there. It's just very encouraging. Hey, you're a runner now. Take advantage of those running groups. Number 5, register for your marathon. It's important to sign up early. I found this out the hard way. I did not know that spots fill up. So last year when I was getting ready for my marathon, I was still in that can I do this? Can I really do this kind of phase? Yeah, I was training for it, but I hadn't really committed to it by registering, and the spots filled up. It was the huge 25th anniversary race for Cincinnati. I didn't know that. I didn't know the spots were gonna fill up. Oh, it was devastating. I'd already spent probably 2 months at that point of training, and now my race was filled up. Thankfully, in my running groups, I was able to find someone who had been injured, who was looking to transfer his spot, and I was able to buy that from him. Now, if you do that, you need to look into doing it the right way. You don't wanna get scammed. You need to have the race officially transfer the other runner's spot to you. And that's what I did with this man. So thankfully, I was still able to get a spot. So you need to go ahead and reserve your spot as soon as you have committed to it. As soon as you know mentally, I'm gonna do this, do it. Bite the bullet, swipe your card, sign up for your spot. It just helps solidify it. You paid the money. You better go do it. Number 6, Find some motivation. Yes, there will be days where you will just not have fun. Running can be hard. That's why most people will not run a marathon, but you're not one of those people. You're going to run a marathon. So find some motivation. Maybe that is joining a running group. There are groups you can pay to be a part of that you'll get that coaching, you'll get the plans, or there are just other runners who like to go run in a group. Or maybe there's another person who has a schedule that meets yours and y'all can go in the morning, you can go at lunchtime, whatever it takes. If you enjoy that, find a running buddy. That's another person that's going to help hold you accountable. Find someone in your speed so you can run together. For me, as an introvert, I was kind of more intimidated than encouraged by that type of running. I was in some running groups, but I never actually went and ran with them. I just used the information on Facebook and encouraged each other from afar. But I enjoyed running solo. It was also just a fun way for me to get out and have some alone time since I am a mama of 4. So my motivation was I just used some free audiobook sites like Libby and Hoopla and enjoyed a fun book while I ran. It really passes the time because yeah, it's going to get tedious pounding an hour or two on the pavement, but just enjoying that fresh air, having something fun to listen to. Maybe it's a podcast, maybe it's a great playlist. Find your motivation that helps you plug away, get those miles down. Number 7, you've got to keep your mind strong. You've got to just keep on reminding yourself why you're doing this. There will be days where you think, oh no, I have to go run 6 miles on the treadmill, and it's just not going to be fun. But that's okay. It's not supposed to be fun. You're here to beat your own mind. So keep your mind strong. Keep remembering what you're doing. Remember why you're doing this. Running is a mental sport. It's your mind. It's not your legs that is going to carry you across the finish line. Number 8, join Strava. This is not sponsored by Strava in any way, but it is a free app. I'm sure there are features you can pay for, upgrades or something. I use the free version, and it's a way that you can track your own progress. You can look and see what you've done. It will tell you how many miles, your elevation, your speed, your pace. So when you are done with your run, you click finish, you look on there, and you can see all your data right there. And it's very encouraging. You can also keep track of your friends or other people who are running and get motivation that way. Remember, motivation is good. Do whatever you need to get some motivation. Strava has been super helpful for me. I know thousands of people use it, and it's a great running app. If you're not familiar with any, that's a great one to start with. Number 9 is just use common sense on your solo runs. As a woman, I have to try to be more aware of my surroundings. So I would carry pepper spray in my running belt or in my vest. Keep an eye out. Wear reflective gear if it's in the dark. Just use common sense. I had one strange instance. Another runner just seemed a little off to me, but I was aware and I kept an eye on him. Just keep an eye out while you're running, especially if it's in a remote area. Just try to be smart, try to be safe. Here's a fun one. Invest in good equipment. We'll start with your feet. You're gonna want a good pair of running shoes. You've got to take care of your feet if you want to make it, not only to across the finish line, but to the finish line. So shoes are gonna depend on your preference. I actually went to Fleet Feet recently. I'm sure there are other stores in your area where you can get an experienced runner or someone experienced in shoes. They'll be able to recommend a good pair that actually works with your specific feet. Besides that, you also need a good pair of socks. These are my absolute favorite. They're Balegas. They actually have this support on the back of your ankle. They were so comfortable with every single run. I never got a single blister. Injuries like blisters can completely wreck your whole training. I actually tried a Smartwool pair as well, and I did not like them at all. Thankfully, I bought them at REI, and they have a great return policy. So I was like, I'm sticking with these, and I was able to return the other Smartwool ones, which were actually more expensive. These were just amazing for me. You'll also need some type of running belt to hold your things. This is the one I got. So it's just a flip belt. You put it on, and you can actually flip it inside out so that any of the openings are actually against your body, so you don't have to worry about anything falling out. There are little pockets in here that you can slide stuff in. There's a little key leash here if you want to hook on your key. I would just keep my key, a couple of tissues, especially if you're running in the winter, my phone in the front. I had earbuds in, and then you can also clip on pepper spray, different things like that, but that way you're able to run hands-free. Now, some people don't mind when you can get a hydration bottle that's like in your hand. I did not like holding anything in my hand. I felt like I was gonna let it fly, or it's also you're sweaty. It's just one less thing to have to worry about while you're out there for couple hours. Actually, during my marathon, I saw a man running with his phone and he dropped it 2 times just going across a bridge. I don't know if it shattered. I couldn't tell. It was raining. It's just another thing to have to worry about. Definitely recommend some type of belt for shorter distances. This would be for like up to maybe 6 to 8 mile runs. I wouldn't take hydration with me, so this was enough for me. I was able to get through those runs fine and then just have water in the car. So once you get past those kinds of runs, then I found a vest, super helpful. So I actually found this at REI. It was brand new, but it was like an off-season color, so I got it for $40. It was a Salmon, and I think they're normally like 130, but it was like the only one and it fit me and it was great. Especially if you're wearing a running tank, you want to be careful that it doesn't chafe, so make sure whatever you get is comfortable. This one is great. It has mesh to help just ventilate. This one has so many pockets. Key leash here. I would have my gummies in here. It comes with these hydration bladders, so I would have one on each side. Again, it's hands-free, so if you need to check your phone, sometimes I had to text my husband who was at home with the kids, or change a song, or reach in and get a gummy. I just really I'm a big proponent of hands-free running. So this worked really, really well for me. Had all the pockets I needed, but it conformed very well to my body. It was never rubbing, and I never noticed it when I was running, so it never slowed me down or interfered with my stride. So I loved this. So find a good running vest. Okay, and a few more weather-specific type of items. Typically, you're gonna want something over your nose and mouth. So this is just a buff. It's actually a Rab brand, but it blocks that freezing cold from you. This was just a lightweight fleece mountain hardware hat that worked well. A pair of mittens. I also got this ear warmer. Keeps your ears warm, helps your head still be able to get out that heat so everything's not trapped in. And it's lightweight, very comfortable. It's smart wool, so wool helps breathe better. So those were just a few different things that I use in cold weather runs. Number 11, listen to your body. I learned this the hard way. I had gone out for a long run and my foot just started really bothering me. I wasn't gonna quit. I was like, I'm gonna do this. So I ended up running 7 miles out, and then as I turned around to run back, the whole way I was trying to figure out how to land my foot so it didn't hurt. It was hurting so badly, like a biker even stopped and like, are you okay? Can I help you? So I finished my run, but actually to my detriment, because running with injuries is only gonna make it worse. So listen to your body. If you are in pain, if you're feeling something wrong, you might need to just take some time to rest, and that's okay. I actually dealt with so many injuries. I had to take off several different runs during my training, and it's very discouraging because you're trying so hard. You don't want to have to fall backwards in your progress, but had I not stopped, I would have been so injured I couldn't have made it to the race. And sadly, there are a lot of people who have to back out, which is how I got my spot in the marathon, because the other man had sadly injured himself. So it is very important for you to listen to yourself. If you have pulled something, you might need to take a couple days off. I most likely had a foot fracture. I had to take lots of time off, and whenever I started feeling it flare up again, I would have to take another run off. So it is sad to have to pause in your training and lose that momentum, but it's also very important to take care of your body. Number 12 is figure out your hydration and nutrition. That just means, what are you going to eat and drink? There's a whole lot of studies out there that can help you prepare before big long runs, what to eat, the types of foods. You've heard of carbing up. It's a thing. You do need those carbs to help give you that energy during those long runs. You will run out of that energy, so you got to carry things with you. When you start hitting those 13, 16, 20 mile runs, you're going to need some fuel with you. I already showed you these. These would just tuck down in the sides of my vest here, and then you can clip it through. So you would fill this up with whatever hydration you needed. For me, what worked really well is I had one side with water. One side I used some of these electrolyte packets. The brand is BioSteel. These didn't have any junk in them. The only sweetener they had was stevia. They worked well for me, but it is kind of something fun to help reward you as you're putting in those long miles. These each hold 16 ounces, which was plenty for me during most of my long runs. But then as my runs increased, I actually added this one to the back. So I had two in the front, and then this one you can actually slip into the back. So aren't these vests just the coolest things? They are built for this. They have everything you need. So this would just slide down there, and you could fill this one up with water, and then loop this through the bottom. So again, it would be right up there near your mouth, so you could drink it as you needed to. And that would give me the extra water I needed to finish those very long runs. Some people will actually just drive ahead, put a water bottle where they know they're going to be, and then as they run, they can go get it. So if you can't invest in something like this, you can still find a way to get your hydration. But having that system was very, very easy. I got my money's worth of that for sure. I also used it during the race, which was super helpful. I never even had to stop and get water, which slows you down. So there's also that benefit. It's also very important to eat before your runs. So depending on how long your run is how much further in advance you need to be planning your meals. Before a long run, I would just eat extra and eat lots of carbs. And I never had a problem. Have you heard the word bonking or hitting the wall? Thankfully, I never experienced any of that because I studied nutrition. I figured out what I needed, and I just kept doing it. It helped me avoid any of those problems. Now, for nutrition on your run, they make things which are amazing. Hi, sweetheart. Okay, so she's gonna help me finish. Okay, so back to nutrition. You will also need calories with you to help you finish those long runs. Otherwise, your muscles are gonna give out and it's gonna get painful, it's gonna get hard, and it's just not gonna be a fun run. So there are different things you can purchase at a running store, a store like REI, maybe Dick's Sporting Goods. Of course, you could order them. So there are packets called running gels, and they are disgusting disgusting. So I would not recommend them. But that's the only thing I knew of at the beginning. I thought that's what you did. So I took some running gels with me, and you rip off the little thing and you have to suck this kind of like this thick honey type of texture. It does not taste like honey. It tastes really weird and gross. And then as I'm running, they get your hands all sticky. I hated them. I thought these were the worst, but I had to use them for several runs until I learned they're actually gummies. If you have a child or if you have ever eaten a gummy, you know that those are much better. For a run that was probably like 8 or 10 miles is when I would start using them. Once I got to probably 6 miles, then I would start eating a gummy. And that was kind of a reward too. Okay, once I go 1 or 2 miles, then I get to eat a couple of gummies. All that does is keep the energy in your body so you don't get to that point of hitting the wall. I never experienced that because I ate those gummies and it got me through. You'll have to plan out how many gummies you're gonna need for whatever miles you're running. I would just put them in a little Ziploc bag, put them in the pocket of my running vest, and then as you're running, you can just pop a couple in your mouth, keep going for a couple miles, get a couple more. You can also look more into the nutrition you need before a race. That's a whole nother story, but it's also very important to be aware and to be prepping your body before the race. Study your race course. So not only is this good for your confidence level, just kind of helping you know what's going to be coming, what the course is going to look like, just kind of mapping it out, helping you feel ready. It's also going to give you some information about how you should be training. So for me, my marathon was in Cincinnati, which is known for its hills. People talk about it. It sounded terrifying to me. And so I just found the biggest hill I could and began training on that. It was a huge hill. It was like half a mile and it felt straight up, which was perfect. That strategy worked so well for me. It's like in baseball, when a batter is preparing to bat, they'll swing with a weighted bat or with 2 bats. Your body gets used to something that heavy. So when it's actually time to use just 1 bat, hey, it feels easy. So that actually happened to me during the race. I had run these hills and had practiced on them so that during the race, I didn't have to stop once. There were a lot of people who would have to slow down and walk, and there's no shame in that, but I didn't want to do that. I wanted to run my whole race. And so I was prepared physically to do that just from racing on that hill. So studying your course is going to help you know what you should be preparing for. Maybe you don't have any hills. Flat running and hill running, cross country, trail running, those are all very different. They actually use different muscles in your legs. So studying your race course is going to help you know and help you prepare for that. Number 14 is prepare yourself logistically. For me, thankfully, I live in Cincinnati. I didn't have to book a hotel anywhere, but for a race as big as the one last year, hotels were filling up. So if you know your race is out of state, you want to go ahead and plan that as soon as possible. Figure out where you want to stay, how far it is from the race course. And as I have mentioned before, take advantage of those running groups. There was a specific Cincinnati Flying Pig group that you can join and then ask people questions. What's it like? What are the hills like? And they'll also be able to tell you great places to stay. But you're going to want to book those as quickly as possible so you make sure everything is in place for you to have a very successful run. Number 15 is don't forget your therapy. I call it therapy, but that just means you're stretching, cooling down, a foam roller, taking care of your body. You want to be in as good a condition as you can to be able to keep pounding away and getting those miles under your belt. Running can be hard on your body, so do what you can to help prevent injury. I experienced lots of injuries because I was trying to get into running shape very quickly to be able to do this marathon, and I ended up with a foot fracture, lung condition, I can't remember what it's called now, a knee injury, groin injury. There's so many things. So it was critical that I stretched, I used the foam roller, I would ice my feet at night. It's not fun, but it helps. Getting massages if you can, or getting your spouse to give you a massage was just what I did. I even found a million massagers. Like I had a knee massager, a foot and calf massager, and a back massager. And I would just sit on the couch with all these massagers going with my foot in ice water most nights of my runs, and it really helped maintaining my body. So invest in some things if you need it. Take care of yourself. Remember your therapy. Number 16, be prepared for the runs. And I really mean that. If you're not familiar with running just helps work things through your body, if you know what I'm talking about. I'm just gonna say it so you can be prepared, because if you are not prepared, it will not be good. When I would go on those long runs, I would just make sure that there would be porta potties on the trail, because you never know when you're going to need one. And the last thing you wanna be doing is crouching in the bushes somewhere by a trail with other runners. Once you kind of learn your body, learn how things go through you, then that will help you know when you're gonna need a bathroom. Especially when I was using the gels, they just went right through me. They were not fun. I never had any bad emergencies, but it was close. So sorry to be graphic, but I'm hoping this is helping you and you won't have any kind of bad experience because you know to be prepared. The gummies actually worked much better in my system, and I usually could make it home fine. But for those long runs, when you're gonna be out there for hours on end, you're gonna want to have some place to go if you need to. Just be prepared for that. It's part of running. Don't be embarrassed by it. Any true runner knows it's just part of the game. Tip number 17 is make sure you're practicing some runs outside. I know it can be hard. It was hard for me since I need to be home with my children to actually be able to get out and run. We don't live in a neighborhood where I could get up early while they were in bed and go before my husband was at work. Something like that didn't work for us, but he did make allowances so that on Saturdays I could at least have my long run outside. So find some type of system that works for you where you can get experience running outside. It really does make a difference. Treadmill running is going to be very different than your actual race course. It's a little bit harder, just the impact of the pavement. Now, that said, treadmills can also be helpful to keep some of that impact off of you during your training. So to help with injury prevention, it's just important to find some time where you can practice running outside and just really get used to the environment, running outside in the air. Maybe you're gonna realize, oh, I've got allergies. I need to take some allergy medicine before the race. Or, oh, it's cold. I'm gonna need something for my head. It's also really fun to run outside. Treadmill running is it's not that fun. Now, I would pop a movie on or a YouTube video, and of course that helps, but just getting outside in the fresh air and just running, it was just so fun. And it felt like a reward after your 2 hard runs during the week. You get to look forward to your long run on the weekend, and it was just so fun to be able to do that outside. Maybe you'll find a routine like that works for you, but just make sure you're getting some time outside to get used to that. We are almost done. We have 2 tips left. Tip number 18 is learn from other runners. You can find a wealth of information from other people who've gone and done it before. I have a brother-in-law who has run countless marathons, so I was able to ask him questions. Being able to find someone like that is going to be so helpful for you. So whether that's in a Facebook running group or on YouTube, there are countless professional runners on there. So take advantage of all of that information out there. Number 19, our final tip, be prepared and be willing to say no to other things. When you are running a marathon, it is a huge commitment. The hardest part is actually before the marathon. And a lot of people are not going to understand that. They're not going to understand why you're not showing up for social engagements or why you have to back out of some things you might normally be a part of. Don't be afraid of that. Don't be afraid to say, hey, I'm sorry, I can't hang out with you tonight. I've got to get my run in. Having a big time commitment like a marathon means you have to say no to something else. Other people are not going to understand. Runners will understand, and you're going to get some encouragement from them. Not everyone can run a marathon because they don't put in what it takes. You're going to. This is what you've chosen to do with this period of time. Do whatever it takes to get to that finish line. Don't let anything else deter you. And what's going to carry you across that finish line? Your mind. Thank you for watching these tips. I hope that they were helpful for you, and I would love to hear what you are planning on doing. Please leave a comment below and tell me what race you are signing up for. And remember, go ahead and sign up now. Secure your spot and get yourself ready. You can do it. And I would love for you to come back and tell me what race you did, your time, and how it went for you. And if you've already run a marathon, leave a tip that maybe I've missed that would help someone else. Have fun. Remember these tips, and they will help carry you through that finish line. I'll talk to you later. Bye, everybody. What are you waiting for? Go run a marathon.